My name's Tom Spengler. I'm the CEO, co-founder of a company called Granicus. We started in 1999, and we're really one of the pioneers in government transparency back there in a really specific area, and I'll talk about that. I think I asked the question, why are we here, and then what do you believe? And I think these are two fundamental questions that really drive why open data is important. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. You know, when I think about America and government, and that's where we spend most of our time is here in the United States, working with over 1,000 agencies. We've got a lot of problems to solve. I don't think any of us are really proud of some of the issues that we're facing and the rankings that we're getting, whether it's healthcare, education, or just recently, you may have noticed that America ranks 17th in the world in happiness, which seems like we should be a lot higher when you think about all the resources that we have available to us. And it's not necessarily a technology problem. The U.S. government spent almost $7 trillion last year, and 2.5–3% of that was on technology, which is a small percentage, but that's $175 billion that we've spent applying technology to try to solve some of our problems or improve our services. And I think that what Granicus believes in, what I believe in, is that we're really trying, all the efforts in transparency and open data and collaboration with citizens is really trying to drive better decisions. And for us at Granicus, and I know at open data, you mentioned, Jeannie, you mentioned helping citizens make better decisions. For us, open data is all about helping government make better decisions. And certainly there's a difference there. And what we believe is that if we open up the data about what's going on in the world and the data that government's using, and we drive participation and collaboration around that, and this is really where the chicken and the egg problem comes in. We drive that collaboration and participation, and then that additional data and information and feedback from our communities is pushed into the government decision-making process at the time we make decisions, then we can drive better decisions. And so for us, open data and open government is really about that process all the way through. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about some of the work that we've done and the principles that we've used there. And I think it's, the question that I'll ask you guys to think about after this is, who's going to help us make these decisions better? So is it government leaders? Are they going to be able to do it? We've gone through how many elections now? And if you look at, there's a great article on Wikipedia about debt by political parties and the increases. And it's, it doesn't matter who we elect, like the debt just continues to grow, Republican or Democrat, regardless of your political views. So I don't believe that the next election is going to solve our problems. I wrote an article recently about slacktivism, which was our slacking in our activism, our kind of partial participation. We go and we vote and then we complain. And it was just mentioned about Tim O'Reilly's vending machine government, which is all about you put your money in, you get your services out, and if you're frustrated, you shake it and you try to get your money back, and you're frustrated. And I think we've got to break that cycle. But you're also going to see how many citizens are actually participating. Are they really engaged? Do they believe they can make a difference? And there's a real challenge there. And that's where I think the chicken and the egg comes in, is that it's kind of like broadband and broadband-enabled apps. For those of you that remember back in early 2000s of the internet, everybody's saying, there's no broadband to the home, so we can't build these really cool apps, and these apps don't exist, so people aren't buying broadband. Putting the data out online is really going to allow us to drive the engagement, hopefully, and people will get involved, and then hopefully the final piece, we'll see government agencies take that feedback that's been processed by citizens who are informed and engaged and go ahead and make better decisions. So a little bit about Granicus. We have over 400 terabytes of data. We've touched 6 million citizens this year. We work with 1,000 government agencies. 99.9% of them are in the U.S. There's about 15 in Canada. We've put about 5 million records online. So we were having a discussion down here earlier. If you want to prepare for Gavin's presentation, we've got the entire last decade of the San Francisco City Council meetings online. You can go back and search and ask him some questions about what he said in some of those meetings. Same thing with Berkeley. It's been a customer of ours for over a decade. in terms of those meetings and that record that's been put online. So there's a tremendous amount of transparency that we've worked on in the public meeting process. And we developed a couple concepts around this that I think are really important. And I published this paper, it's a white paper on our website, in 2009 when President Obama was first elected and came out with his transparency, participation, collaboration, #1 executive order. And in the process of making decisions, and most of this is in the legislative process, but in local government, most of you know that the legislative and the executive branch really work hand in hand as one, which personally I believe is a more efficient model, and you can see that play out. But we want to give live, real-time access to data. We also want it to be on demand. We want it to be integrated with relevant materials, and you're seeing a lot of that going on with the open data movement. ADA compliance, of course, is important. Searchability, downloadability, shareability, which I think we're doing in almost every case now. Protected and authenticated, I think that's really important for us to continue to address, that we know we have the right data that we're looking at. We need standards, and we continue to build standards, and then obviously free and available to the public. So when we do get this data online, the next challenge is how do we actually engage? And I wanted to spend a couple of minutes on this because I know most of us aren't talking about this as much. But open data is really not useful if the public doesn't engage with it, and then that engagement and that feedback is digested and used for decision making. So currently, a lot of our interactions happen in person. How many of you have spoken at a city council meeting? All right, cool. It's painful, right? You've got 3 minutes, you wait in line, you drive, you park, you sit there. Not very many people do it. And I always say your working families in most communities don't participate in that way. They need something more convenient. So currently it's in-person, expensive, time-consuming, and largely unproductive because it's not representative. And we're really helping our customers move to a model where they're pushing their data online, but they're also pushing their engagement online. Their ability to talk to and take feedback from their citizens online 24/7, but also make it timely and actionable. Make it around your decision-making process so that when you are going out to the community to get feedback, it's going to feed into a decision and help us, again, drive better decisions and better outcomes. And we can do that in a way more automated fashion and a more cost-effective and productive fashion. And this is the vision and kind of outline of what we've done with a lot of our customers is, one, we've got to connect online. And obviously, we're all way more connected than we were 10 years ago with social media. But government is not that well connected with their citizens. And there's a lack of trust. And so we have to build trust by, step 2, listening. So a lot of times what we do is we go out and we tell our citizens what we're doing, or we ask them questions for feedback on specific things. But in very few cases do we say, hey, what would make our community better, and actively listen. And that helps us build community, allows us to do things like crowdsourcing ideas and solutions from the community. Let's put our communities to work using the data that we've put together online and help make better decisions. And then, of course, we've got to digest that. I can't tell you how frustrating it is for some of the communities we work with when they put great data online, they get feedback from communities, and then their government leaders and decision makers just don't care. I'm elected, I make the decisions that I make, that's why I was elected, I'm not going to look at this. And we've got to close that loop, otherwise, I feel like a lot of this effort is really in vain. So we focus in 3 areas with our collaboration: crowdsourcing, feedback on projects, like Maury mentioned, all of the different projects where you need feedback, whether it's construction or permits or land use, and then feedback on agendized items before they go for a decision. Give our communities the ability to digest that data and then tell you online exactly what they think you should do. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.